Hey everybody, it's Bust with Busted Strategies number 43, another premier Midnight Hunt draft. It's kind of weird ass background on here. It's a new one, right? I think that werewolf looking thing was not familiar to me. Let's see what we can come across here. Oh man, nobody wants to draft today. It's taking over 15 seconds to fill up. Filled with worry. Interesting. Yeah, I think this season is coming to a close. I'm not exactly sure how these things work, but I think we'll be stuck down in the dumpster for this month, and then maybe we'll try to get up in the old numbered mythics for next month. But it's kind of odd, right? I've gotten so used to where the format barely changes in Runeterra Expeditions. It's kind of like the new set comes out and nothing rotates, and so there's not a wildly different collection of cards even with the release of a new set. Um, but when the Crimson Vow comes out, I think they might still do it to where it would be like 2 packs of Crimson Vow and 1 pack of this set, but who knows? Fuck Fano. I'm not going to Google search it. You can go Google search it and tell me. I'm just going to be in it for when the surprise gets here. But no, that's coming up soon. I think it comes out on November the 19th or the 20th or so. And then I think the previews might have started once this video comes out. I think the previews start on the 28th or the 29th or the 30th or so. So might even be as I'm recording this, all those sweet previews are out there and we're just missing them. But it'll be okay. Alrighty, I suspect this queue is going to get busted. We had to wait way too long for it to fill up, so somebody probably went to take a deuce or something and not going to be here to push the button. Uh-oh. One to go. One to go. There we are. Everybody's here. So cool. Let's see what shows up. All right. Well, interesting pack. There's no like really super strong cards in it. We aren't seeing any removal spells or bomb type units. The rare is fine. I mean, we're typically playing Bait Hook Angler in every deck, and this guy is just 100% better than Bait Hook Angler. But the one I'm actually looking at in this pack would be the Thermo Alchemist. I really don't like starting off with a red card, but there's just like nothing else here. And then the red decks that want Thermo Alchemist like really want Thermo Alchemist. The blue red decks in particular are pretty stoked to have him. The red white decks are pretty stoked to have him. The vampires decks that are looking to deal damage. So say you can't get an attack in with the Bat Whisperer, you can deal a damage with the Thermo Alchemist to then get the thing. And then it also plays fantastically with the likes of the Festival Crasher style decks. And so I'm okay to start with it. We aren't really missing out on much. And then if we land in one of those archetypes, the payoff is just humongous. And so happy enough to pick up the Thermo Alchemist. Okay, not taking the old dire stain rampage, poop joke. You know, you get your stains in your undies, your dire stains. LOL. Not gonna stop saying that until this set rotates, so go ahead and get used to that one. But with this one, I want to jump back into kind of an Esper color. I do want to note that the Stolen Vitality is down here, so we could potentially table a good Festival Crashers card. Same applies to Startle, but I'm going to be looking to pick up the Covetous Castaway here. This usually works out pretty fantastically in the blue-red decks and any kind of deck in general. Really like the Covetous Castaway. It's good at stalling down the early game. It's very valuable to discard, very valuable to mill. And then the disturb half of it is extremely strong. And so, welcome addition to our squad. Okay, interesting. So we have Slogurk. I like Slogurk kind of at this stage of the draft, right? If you pick up Slogurk in like pack 3 and you aren't really set up for it, then it's not great. But if you kind of align your deck to have some additional mill cards in it or some additional discard kind of things like the Shipwreck Sifters, then you can really make Slogurk work. I'm all about making Slogurk work, and so I'm kind of looking at it. We already have the one blue card. I don't want to go out of my way to just draft Rite of Oblivion here, although it is likely the best card in the pack. Otherwise, we're just taking like a Revenge of the Drowned. And so I think I'm kind of okay with Slogurk. We'll see how this plays out. We aren't really like super invested in anything at this point, but the potentials for goodies are here. And what a bummer of a pack. I mean, it's not like I don't feel like we're really getting cut off or anything here. It's just these cards are all trash. And so, a couple of options. There's like Snarling Wolf, which I'm not really amped about, but if we want to draft towards Slogurk, it's here. Locked in the Cemetery tends to be the only removal spell that you can play in blue-green. So that would be an option. And then we have an Abandon the Post down here, which if we end up in the Festival Crashers deck, we would be pretty happy with. You always want one copy. But I'm just going to go with the Locked in the Cemetery. It's not exciting, but it is the only blue card in the pack. Hopefully this will help us get the cuts onto blue if the people downstream of us just don't have any cards to take. And it's regardless if we play like blue-green or blue-red, it's probably got to make the cut. We're still I do like seeing these disturb cards come around. Non-zero chance that we just end up in blue-white in a disturb deck. And so to that end, I am looking towards the Gale Drifter. It's just going to give us the most opportunity across all of these decks. We don't really have any Falcon Abomination combos at this point. Not any way to take advantage of this zombie token. But with the Gale Drifter, if we end up in blue-red, we might be able to just like discard it to something out of a loot. If we end up in a mill deck with the Slogurks, we can use it. If we end up in blue-white, it already has Disturb. So, welcome addition to the squad. It checks all the boxes, if you will. Okay, well, we might be kind of moving over into blue-white. I think we want the Morning Patrol here. The only real choices out of this pack would be Morning Patrol, Neonates Rush, and Siege Zombie. We can ignore the Siege Zombie. We're nowhere near black at this point. And then the Neonates Rush is decent in blue-red, but after the Thermo Alchemist, we haven't seen any compelling reasons to play red cards at this point. We haven't been seeing any Midnight Lightning Bolts, no good on commons, and so I'm just going to move in on the Morning Patrol. Okay, the Shipwreck Sifters is fine. I don't really like playing the Sifters unless we're playing Disturb. And that seems to be what is open here. And so the Sifters are fine in that sense. If we're playing like blue-red or green or blue-green, I can't really recommend the Shipwreck Sifters. Here, no blue-white cards, so we'll just take the Harvest-Tide Sentry. The blue-green seems like the next most likely outcome. It seems like blue-red is fairly off the table. Okay, so we're going to take the Unblinking Observer here. I don't think we'll end up playing it in blue-white, but if we end up playing in blue-green, we will want this. Again, blue-green seems kind of off the table. We haven't seen any Shadow Beast sightings. We haven't seen any Eccentric Farmers. None of the cards that are really going to make Slogurk pop have shown up in this draft. I think we can skip the Otherworldly Gaze, though. It does play quite well. And Otherworldly Gaze plays quite well in terms of Disturb decks, but you can usually pick them up pretty late. Here, this is a very easy startle. The Stolen Vitality did table, but none of the elements of the red deck actually appeared here. Okay, so I'll take the Abandon the Post. I don't think we're going to end up in blue-red, but that would be kind of the closest route to get there. Path to the Festivals, whatever. Dissipate, probably not going to play. And then the Hedgewitch's Mask will push to the sideboard. Okay, and so, man, what a turd. Nothing really interesting here. I'm kind of just looking at the Beloved Beggar. It's fine in the Disturb deck. What you tend to run into problems with the Beloved Beggar and the Covetous Castaway is there's a lot of times where you just don't want to play them. It's at least a little easier to just like slam a Covetous Castaway on the board because it can shut down some units from attacking, right? He has a point of attack, so he can potentially trade with something. But the Beloved Beggar just sits there forever. And so if you don't have a way to discard it or mill it, it tends to just kind of get locked up in your hand. So I'm not like super interested in it. I'm hoping we table the Shipwreck Sifters out of this pack, and I'm really just looking at Odric's Outrider here. It's not like super powerful in this deck, but it clogs up the board really well and makes combat kind of fucked up for your opponent, and so I think we could make reasonable usage out of it, and then still potentially table something decent here. All right, well here's the first Festival Crasher. I think we're kind of getting locked into Disturb. I'm gonna take the Chaplain of Alms. It is one of the kind of weaker ones. We're making our point of comparison to the Candlegrove Witch in this pack. But I like that it has Disturb. The flip side of this is good. It gives a lot of decks fits, and I kind of want to start locking in these Disturb cards. So hopefully, at least out of this pack, Candlegrove Witch will table. Not super likely because these other white cards are kind of trash, but then we also have potential to wheel a Flip the Switch, which be pretty okay with. Okay, so let me get this sorted a little bit. Now, like with the green and the red, I'm pretty happy to just get rid of at this point. That deck is not coming together. So let me get our cards sorted out the way I like to do it. Cemetery can go here, and the spells we don't want to play pile, and then the Observer can move out as well. So, okay. I mean, I think we're fine with the Loyal Gryph. I'm not the hugest of fan of Loyal Gryphs, but I mean, it's a 3/2, a Windrake with Flash and some more upside, and so it's more than fine. It just doesn't fit into the Disturb theme super well. But here we could potentially be wheeling an Otherworldly Gaze or a Startle. No idea why Startle still goes so late, but we have the potential to pick one up here. All right. here's the red pack. Just give me like half of these if we want to play red. No, that's not happening. A very, very easy and very strong Candlegrove Witch. I'm happy to pick this up. I'm starting to look towards things like Flip the Switch because our interactivity is garbage here. We're kind of stuck with just Startle and locked in the Cemetery. I mean, granted, the blue-white interactivity isn't that good, but we are going to look for some spells to be playing out here. Okay, with this one, we already have one Shipwreck Sifter. I'm kind of looking to just start trying to stack these. It's kind of like their value gets, I don't want to say exponentially better, but it definitely does get better the more of these you're able to stack, and we're really just missing out on Morning Patrol here. So, welcome Shipwreck Sifters. A very important Geist Wave to add. Again, we need some interactivity here. It sucks to be passing on these Morning Patrols, but I think we need the bounce spell out of this one. Okay, here we're looking to take Consider. If we had something we wanted to splash, we could look towards the Jack-o'-lantern, but that's not quite where our deck is at this point. So that can go. Homestead Courage is fine. I don't really like playing Vivisection in these style of decks. We tend to just have enough stuff to do with our mana and don't need to just like tap out for that. Like if you're playing blue-black, you can find yourself where you've, traded 1-for-1 on a bunch of removal spells and you just don't have anything left over. But with Disturb, you tend to have just like a bunch of Disturb units in your graveyard, and it's easy enough to, spend 4 mana on a random flyer as the game progresses. Okay, cool. Shipwreck Sifter's tabled, number 3. Forget what else we had in here. It looked like here's a Flip the Switch, which is fine. I'm kind of looking at the Blessed Defiance as well, though. Like I think Flip the Switch is like leagues better than Dissipate, but like the power of Blessed Defiance has been like slowly growing on me with this like Wisp thing being surprisingly relevant. Okay, well, I see the Gaze, but this not both the Startle and the Gaze tabled, and I definitely would prefer the Startle. Previous cover up, not making it, and Vivisection, making it all the way back. Okay, so man, another reasonably weak pack. Not real amped with how how our opens are being here today, but let's make the best of it. And so it's tough. I'm just looking at this other Geist Wave. My problem with this deck we have is it's kind of like building to be this like aggro tempo-y style deck, and we don't quite have all the tools to really pay off on it. But I mean, if something even just like a bait hook angler comes back out of this pack, I think we'll be happy enough with it. I think we need the Geist Wave though. I would even be happy with the Party Captain. Looks like, I mean, we're just going to be pretty aggressive here. Need some more Shipwreck Sifters. That's the way we're going to get them. Okay, well, Suspicious Stowaway is at least a bit of a gift, given the quality of these previous packs. This guy's just incredibly strong, looting on the one side and then just straight up card draws on the other. Fantastically strong card. We get a wheel out of here. We might get a Consider or a Locked in the Cemetery. Okay. All right, another pack, another set of turds. And so I'm looking at the Gavany Silversmith here with the hope that the Otherworldly Gaze of the Stormrider Spirit tables. Kind of questioning as to whether or not we need something like Stormrider Spirit in our deck just so that we can, win a game. Winning games is important to do, and we don't have much of a Flyers package at this point. But I think we could probably get enough of a tempo game going with the Silversmith to where it's okay here. The other thing is, though, we have the 3 Sifters, and this is a Spirit. We got one. You don't start as a Spirit, do you? We really just have. No. We took the Spirit. I had it highlighted as I was trying to dirtle through those cards, but I think that'll be okay. All right, and then I want the Falcon Abomination. We need to up our Flyers count here. So welcome to the squad. Okay, then do we ever play Mysterious Tome? I don't think so. It's like I'm kind of looking at this as being like a 16 land deck as it is, but I could see us like stalling out and wanting to use the Tome. There's the opportunity for another Silversmith. That's fine. Not excited about it, but I'm very, very whelmed. That's the proper term. I'm whelmed for it. Okay. Well, the Bait-Hook Angler will work here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spirits and or disturbs. The angler will get us to 9. Okay. I guess it's a fairly reasonable number. It's more reasonable now. I don't want the Firmament Sage. We have the Mysterious Tome for a big late game play if we want it. I'm really happy to pick up another Disturb. I think we want the Locked in the Cemetery here. We really just have the 2 Geist Waves to try to interact with our opponent's things, and we shouldn't have too much trouble filling things into the graveyard. We have all these Bait-Hook Anglers. We just picked up this big stack of Otherworldly Gazes. I think it looks pretty good. Okay. All right. That turned out okay. I mean, we lost a couple of picks early, but in the Thermo Alchemist and in the Slogurk, but after that, I think we got pretty well locked in, and I think we were in a pretty good place here. So let's see what we can do with this one. I think now that we've like picked up Otherworldly Gazes, I'm like less interested in playing things like Mysterious Tome. But let's get some of these out of here. We don't want the Eyeball. Did we have a Flip the Switch? We didn't land on any. I was going to say I'm just going to go ahead and take out the Dissipate if we have a Flip the Switch, but not quite there at the moment. Let me double check and make sure I didn't mess up our sideboard in any way either. Mask, Exorcism. Okay, yeah, we don't want any of these cards. So we can split it by units and spells now. T:/CR. So what do we got? We got 16 creatures. Not opposed to making like 1 cut. I would want it to be a non-spirit, non-spirit, non-disturb, non-flying unit. That would leave us with like Odric and Gavany Silversmith, the Stowaways never getting cut, and then kind of Candlegrove Witch. Maybe this is a world where Candlegrove Witch isn't that great, but I could see as like it's easy for us to get 2s. We have reasonable ways to get 1s. I think it's okay. Let's swing back around here. We just need to start getting some of the stuff out here. I don't think we want Dissipate. I don't really feel like the deck that's just going to be sitting around forever. I'm not super interested in Mysterious Tome, but I do kind of like that it has the tap ability attached to it, and so we can potentially lock down an opposing unit. It just doesn't seem like what we're really trying to do, but I think the big ones we want here are going to be the 2 Locked in the Cemeteries, the 2 Geist Waves, the 2 Startles, and then the ways to put cards into our graveyard. So it's like the Blessed Defiance can go, the Tome can go. I think we can get rid of the Consider. Would we rather play Consider as opposed to Otherworldly Gaze? It's close. We have 16 creatures. It's like the more and more I look at these creatures, it's like the more I want to hang on to Gavany Silversmith. Just as a way to kind of boost our flyers or let our ground pounders do something or give our Candlegrove Witch Coven or something. I kind of like it. It plays well with the Chaplain of Alms. I think that's okay. I'm kind of looking at like, what if we cut the Stormrider Spirit, cut a land, and then cut. Yeah, it's just every time I cut down to 16 land, I just hate it so much. Hate it, hate it. This might be the world for it, though. I mean, we won't have any cards that cost more than 4. We've got a reasonable amount of cycle. It's just once you start coming out here and like milling the Chaplain of Alms and the Gale Drifters, these things cost like 4 and 5 mana to flash back. You kind of want the mana for it. So I think we'll stay at 17. Locked in the Cemetery can be okay. I mean, we do have a bunch of mill, right? We have the Shipwreck Sifters and the Suspicious Stowaways to kind of mill some stuff into the graveyard for the Locked in the Cemeteries. I think that's fine. What if we consider looking at cutting one Otherworldly Gaze? You don't have that much. Maybe that's how we do it. We cut the 2 Disguises. I want to bring the the Consider back. I could even bring myself just to play 41 here. I've been doing that somewhat excessively recently, but it's like I don't want to cut a land. I'm happy with all of our cards. I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to play the 41 again. I think I'm happy with that. So cool. Let's get to battle. Okay. So yeah, it's been weird. Like it's just like I've mentioned it a few times, but the past few weeks it's just like this. One Esper, one red green, mesh them together. Style has been really good, and then just like the past few days, it's just the blue and the white and the black have just felt so super open in comparison to where it used to be. But anyways, reasonable enough start here. We got a decent curve. We got some stuff to discard to the Shipwreck Sifters. No complaints so far. Discard this Covetous Castaway. So much potential for big draws if we hit on this Sifters. We do it. We did not. Alright, well, I'll trade my 2-3 with his 3-1 if he wants to. Surprised he didn't come in for a block. Like, we have this bad Sifters on the board. How many cards we got in the old bin? 2. Not enough for a tap. You're going to get shut down in this combat now. We gotta need to go ahead and play a card. I don't want to get this Tovolar flipped. And so we do still have like the Loyal Griff we could throw down, but the 2-3 and the 1-2 block onto Tovolar are good. Feels like we're just missing out on some value if we play the Griff. Like we could play Griff, bounce the Chaplain. Not happy about that though. Let's just add the Falcon Abomination and pass. I just want to be happy. Tovolar is also a real shit target for a Locked in the Cemetery. He still has this when a wolf or werewolf deal damage to a player, draw a card, and so he's still incredibly relevant on board even while tapped. So what could go wrong here is if he has a +2/+2. So, I mean, we still have really good blocks like this. Right? He only gets to kill one of our units this way. If he has a +2/+2, then we just get 2 for 2'd. The way that this is bad is if he has specifically the X spell that gives first strike, which I'm not really amped about. If he has like a Stolen Vitality to give the +3/+1, I think this is okay. Yeah, any way this goes. If we just end up trading Tovolar for a Falcon Abomination, that sounds like a gigantic win. Oh, fuck me, he actually had it. The one card that gets us. Alright, we're bringing the thunder. don't think we want to shuffle any of that back. I really only like shuffling back like removal spells and cards that draw cards. I don't like. I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, we just drew a Falcon Abomination. So I think that's okay to let that go. Opponent appears to still be stalled on 3 land. Okay, there's number 4. I wonder if that's going to change anything. It's probably not attacking with Tovolar now. Okay, so how do we feel? I mean, I think I'm okay with like picking up the Shipwreck Sifters. We can still like make a startle play onto Tovolar next turn. I'm going to return the Sifters, then just not play it. It should be really apparent that we're up to shenanigans, but I think I'm still okay with this. Like, if he attacks with everything, I'm actually pretty okay with just, like, putting the Chaplain of Alms in front of Harvesttide Sentry, putting the Grift in front of Tovolar, startling Tovolar, and then just using it as a cycle and a way to get a dude on the board. We're getting them, really close to lethal. 2 turns from our flyers would do it. Adding in the zombie token would be fairly helpful. But it should be readily apparent that we either have like a startle or a bounce spell, some way to positively interact with this board. Alright, still going for it this way. This is fine. See if he's gonna throw the Death Bonnet Sprout in front of the zombie token. Sucks for you, bro. Alrighty, so let's get. Well, we have 2 choices here. Do we want to play the Shipwreck Sifters and the Locked in and see what we draw, or do we want to just get the Chaplain down? I think we just want to get the Chaplain down here. Let's go ahead and lock Tovolar in the cemetery. He doesn't have any. Doesn't have anything at this point to, to werewolf us with. Now we get the Shieldgeist down, which is a good block on the Harvesttide Sentry. Farm it up. Abandon the post. Slightly scary. More than slightly. So where do we see ourselves now? I was really counting on not taking damage from this Harvesttide Sentry. Well, it would have been okay if he didn't flip Abandon the Post. He's coming at us for 7, take us to 8. So we've got 3. We're going to be looking at 8, 9, 10, 11 next turn. So even if we block the Harvesttide Sentry, we're looking at getting lethaled. Or, I mean, well, we'd have to block the Beast here. Doesn't feel like a winning play. Discard the Angler. I think so. Right. He says 2 can't block. Right. Say he plays Abandon the Cemetery on 2 of our units. He can actually only play it on 1 unit at this point. I'm not sure how Ward works when you try to target 2 separate things, but What if we do it like this? Take him to 5 and then try to win with the Castigator and the Shield Geist next turn. I think that's where it's at. And this way, assuming he can make 2 of our units unable to block, we still have the 1 left to block the Shadow Beast with and take 7 and fall to 1. But yeah, I'm not quite sure. Up to 2 target creatures. So he could select 1 creature with the Abandon the Post and then still pay the ward cost. So we should have 2 blockers this turn unless he plays a land. If he plays a land, then we can only have 1 blocker. But the idea with this sequencing here is the Castigator is our best blocker. And so as long as it's not forced to die in combat here, then we should be able to win with the Shield Geist plus the Castigator. But if he does force it to block the Harvest-Tide Sentry, we can still potentially lethal next turn, depending on what all he attacks with. Alright, let's see what they're up to. What you got for us, Arv? Haste creature. Am I missing something? 4, 5, 6, 7? I don't think so. So we take 6 with this block. Okay. Got him. Interesting. Maybe he just realized he needed us to fuck up, and he thought that was the best way for us to fuck up. Interesting. Okay, round 2. Let's fuck him up. Am I right? That's what you're supposed to say to your opponent before any match of Magic. Feel free to use it at your Friday Night Magic to whatever degree you feel comfortable. You just say, I'm about to fuck you up. GL, HF, I'm a FUA. All right, well, potentially. That's we could potentially do that. Who knows how long it'll take to find a match. Finding the premium opponent. I don't even know what the card this is on the background. They had it as Raise the Effigy for a while, and it really weirds me out when they just put these garbage cards as the background. It's not garbage, just nobody plays it. But I guess take that however you want. But it was the background for like the past month. I had literally no idea what it was for like 3 weeks, and eventually put 2 and 2 together. But here we go. Opponent has been found. What do we got? Some dude with the Ajani avatar. Alright, I guess this is fine. I do worry about these 4 landers, but we get some cycle right at the beginning with the Sifters, and then I guess like a 2-3 Sifters into a Bait Hook Angler into a Silversmith isn't like the worst, but you can certainly have problems with hands like this. Whoa. Dropping the mythics right from the start. Okay. The second Sifters is always interesting, as we can make the original one so big. Okay, you a zombie? You got all the tricks today. All right. Well, we didn't pick up another Spirit or Disturb, so let's move in on the Falcon Abomination. It seems like I'd probably rather have a 3/3 flyer than a 2/3 flyer out of the Bait Hook Angler. And hopefully we can stop this aggression shortly. Just dropping the mythics right out the gates. I mean, if the 2/3 Bloodstitch Scab is good enough, I'm sure Tainted Adversary is more than good enough for most situations. Bring in the hammer. So, I mean, will we want to trade a Falcon Abomination for a Scab? I doubt it. Let's just get the block in. He can like Olivia Midnight ambush our Sifters or something, but there's no combat tricks that will win the combat for his Scab here. Damn. Picking up all the lands. It's a little suspect. I mean, if it kind of feels like a startle. If it's like a Geist Wave or something, then whatever. But I think I'm good to get the squad in. We're just kind of in like never block mode on the adversary, and then I mean, if he wants to, feels like that was a bit of an oversight with this Bloodstitch Scab. I'm not really sure why he would have attacked with it last turn. But I mean, it's like he was gonna get clever in combat and like startle something, and then realize that the bounce block was there. He's still bringing all that thunder though. All right, no blocks. There you go. Stop and read all of them. Locked in the cemetery. You got it. What do we got? Loyal Griff certainly helps with our cemetery style problems. It just takes forever to get going. You can also could have used it to say throw a blocker in front of the Tainted Adversary and then bounce, but I think this is fine. We probably should have played the Shipwreck Sifters before combat, though. That's kind of be the big problem we're running into here. Yeah, now it just feels kind of silly running this out. Like, we don't know, not a very high chance that we would have actually hit something, but there's not a whole lot of reason to not go for it. Or we just pick up an extremely relevant startle. All right. Still think we're okay. It was just that was pretty sloppy. He's done with the aggression. He says no more Tainted Adversaries. Okay. All right, let's get the Flying Squad on the board. Here comes the Abomination. We'll get the Bait Hook Angler down. Ready to bring it. We should have left a white mana up there. Well, I guess there are blue cards. You could have potentially have an unsummon, so there is actual relevant blue cards, but this is okay. Startle number 2, sure. I kind of wanted to attack with the Hook Hunt Drifter. Like, there's totally a world where they just don't they don't block it too frequently because they want to get the trade. But was really hoping to kind of induce the block here and get this big startle in. There's a lot of things that could go wrong to where, we take him to 4 with the 2/2/2s, and then he just has a removal spell or something. It still takes us a long time. And so I think we should still be playing for a bit of value here, not just going for the throat. But after these startles, like we can pop off a startle on their turn. Oh. And maybe come in with a bunch of zombies. We got 3 cards, so we can't Locked in the Cemetery anything here, but these units aren't scary. He's only got 8 damage on board. You're welcome to attack with it. And then we'll see. We'll see what he does. He's got the Bait Hook Angler, and then 1 card left in hand. He hasn't been like super interactive up to this point, so I don't want to think that it's like a interactive spell, but let's see if they just like drop a unit on the board. As it stands, if we attack with everything, and then we have an additional zombie, he blocks our 3/2/2s, then he'd be looking to take 6 damage. So I'm pretty interested in playing Startle. And then also in terms of if we draw like a bounce spell, we're 1 card away from the Locked in the Cemetery being able to tap. So I kind of want to investigate those possibilities as well. Well, it hasn't like auto passed the turn back to us. I guess because he has that Corpse Cobble on the board, or the Corpse Cobble in his graveyard. I'm not really convinced that he's actually thinking of doing anything here as much as he's as much as he just doesn't realize he has priority. So are we good with this? I think so. His like ground-based blocks, he's definitely winning the ground-based blocks, right? But the important ones here are our flyers coming through. And he doesn't have good blocks for those. Then we could still follow up with the Chaplain of Alms and the Locked in the Cemetery to or the Chaplain of Alms and the Stormrider Spirit to make sure we have stuff to do in the event something goes wrong here. Doing them mathematics. That's 6. I assure you, as bad as I am at math, I assure you that's 6 damage coming in. What you gonna do? Like you're just highlighting a Corpse Cobble. I don't feel like you have anything. Uh-oh. Here it comes. You highlighted our Griff. What could it be? Revenge of the Drowned. You got it. We got 5 cards in the bin now. Let's just go ahead and take care of this big thing. A little bit safer way to approach this. You can like Corpse Cobble it away, but I feel like this is ultimately a safe enough play. Got him. Victory is ours. All right, round 3. So yeah, another interesting FTP bust news. I have started playing Hearthstone Battlegrounds. Feels kind of bad. It was like a a weakness in character. I stopped playing Blizzard games back in the during the Blitzchung fiasco. I'd kind of slowly become more and more disappointed in the quality of product Blizzard was putting forth. And after the Blitzchung fiasco, I just kind of stopped. But I've been really itching to play Battlegrounds, and so I broke in spirit and decided to do it. It's fine. I don't know how I completely feel about it. If Storybook Brawl was on mobile, I would probably try and stick with it more. But trying to find like a secondary game to kind of occasionally make content with, and I'd like it to be one of those auto battlers. I really like the auto battler format, but I don't want it to be teamfight tactics. So out here really struggling. But nonetheless, back to the excitement here. This is tough. We can either play Shipwreck Sifters and discard the Baithook Angler, or we can start with the Suspicious Stowaway. I suspect whatever we play is probably just going to get hit with a burn spell, and so I'm going to play the Sifters first, the one that we would prefer to die in comparison to the Stowaway. Yeah, I want to discard the Angler. Boom. Glad we played that one. We would prefer to die. Okay. We'll keep taking it slow. I feel like they're up to shenanigans. Probably doesn't want to flip the switch a Hook Hunt Drifter, but we're gonna give them the option. If they wanna keep playing it slow, we can keep playing it slow. So next turn we would be able to drop this sweet Storm Rider Spirit. So I'm a-okay with that, especially given that we've just drawn a million land. So if we come in with the Spirit on his turn, and then on our next turn try and drop an Outrider and a Suspicious Stowaway, I think that seems pretty decent to me. Interesting. We can also just pay 4 mana on a Suspicious Stowaway. So I've got that idea lined up as well here. It pauses. So let's see if he's going to try and flip our switch. Not here. I'll try a Shipwreck Sifters. If he gets his counterspell on it, I'm okay with it. Alright, well maybe... I don't know what's going on, if that's if that's the course of action that we're running across. Could see another burn spell onto the Stowaway, but that really read like a flip the switch. Okay. Maybe he just has a handful of burn spells and we played it too slow, but I'm still content with how that went. I'm ready to get this Outrider slammed down now, though. So we'll play it first. If he wants to come out here and kill something, then we're gonna get a bonus. So we'll try to get the big boy down, and then we can follow up with the Candlegrove Witch. We should reasonably enough be able to assemble a coven. I want the Outrider to have 3 attack, so we should be able to get it that way. He's saying, do I want to spend a burn spell on a Hook Hunt Drifter? Oh, bust. You present me with the most challenging of challenges. Oh, bust. This chair's done. In the other news in the lands of FTP bust, let's put this on top. We don't have very many better draws than Odric. I'm back in this DX Racer. This chair has been fine. I've had it for 6 or 7 years now, and it's just finally like the seat is worn out on it, and it's time for a new one. And I got to, reading and shit on the internet, and people kept going on about how all of the the Chinese made chairs are just the same thing. There's no difference between the kind of like mid range DX racer stuff and then the Chinese stuff on Amazon. Just don't bother wasting your money. And man, what a waste of money that thing was. It made it like 3 days before the seat was completely just warped and worn out. It's like, oh, this is garbage. This is so dumb. And so here we are now. I've ordered another chair. It should arrive tomorrow. Pretty excited for it. This thing's pretty done. But all right. Well, I mean, we're starting to make headway here. Unless he like presents us with some way to generate card advantage, I'm not really worried about anything that they're doing. Started highlighting his graveyard. Looks like this might be a Ardent Elementalist, but this is all fine. All right, we're bringing the heat now. Okay, yeah, I'm curious what those last two cards would be. This hasn't really done anything but play removal spells. I mean, I guess if you're sitting on like a Moonranger Lightning Bolt, you probably don't want to be bolting off the likes of Shipwreck Sifters, but interesting. All right, battle. Is there anything we have to worry about if we just start dropping morning patrols here? Let's play the land. If he hasn't flipped the switch, I want to be able to pay the 4 mana. I mean, the only thing that would ever be of worry here would be like the Devil's AoE. Whatever that thing is, it does 5 damage to everything, or it puts the Devils on board. I'm not having anything else come to mind that would be particularly scary here. Gonna have a second flip the switch. We're looking good. What you gonna do is you're gonna drop a devious cover up on the morning patrol. I mean, I guess realistically we could have just let it get killed and then just flashed it back. But if he's got the Devil's AOE, I want to be able to get our unit back, get back to attacking. I wonder if he dropped his phone in the toilet. That he just all mad that we dropped the 4 mana on the flip the switch. This is slightly scary. I mean, I get that there's times where he just has to draw a burn spell to win, right? If he's already holding like a 3 damage burn spell and draws another 3 damage burn spell, he can win the game. So, oh my god, did he get it? He got us with Light Up the Night. Okay. He had to have just drawn it, or he just snapped all that shit off. So had to have just drawn it, right? He would have been lethal with a without the land. He only needed to do 7 damage because he had the Thermo Alchemist on board. Okay. I'm pretty confident he just drew that, right? He was sitting there making the decision as to whether or not to Moonrager slash a unit or to or to hold on to it and see if he draws burn spells. And he was like, "Oh, I just got to draw burn spells to win the game. I got to hit my one outer." I think that's what happened. Well, I've never hit a one outer before, so I don't know what that feels like, but I'm sure it's pretty good. as we were starting up to talk about how he might have dropped his phone in the toilet, he really brings the heat there. But I mean, we could have played that one differently, right? We took like 3 turns in there trying to play around flip the switch, and that gave him a lot of time to build up all that mana. I'm still reasonably happy with how that turned out. I mean, we could have looked at it as one of those situations where his board isn't that good, so we don't really worry about it, right? It's usually pretty crushing when flip the switch makes it like a big tempo play on you, but that was never going to be the case here. Just going to go ahead and bring it. He does have a Patrician Geist in his graveyard, which is a little bit scary in terms of Death Bonnet Sprout, right? If he wants to say like block with the Bait Hook Angler and then he just immediately flips a unit, this is going to suck a lot. But if we have time, I would prefer to just go ahead and get that thing off the board. Well, that's what we get. That's what we get. Alright, I guess I don't feel as bad about it. He was just going to hit it next turn. And Jesus, look at this dude's graveyard with the Sludge Monster and Patrician Geist. Good God, dude. Alright, the Morning Patrol track is free. We'll see what he does. Eccentric Farmer is pretty low value, so I'm not surprised that he came in unblocked. And then we need to empty the Angler out of our graveyard. I know, bud, that was shit, isn't it? This has been 2 rounds of just shit. Dude's top decking X spells. Dude's hitting on their Death Bonnet Sprouts. This is shitty. These scratches ain't shitty though, you can tell. But Buddy here likes a good scratch. Oh boy, bringing all them tempos, huh? Okay. So do we just end up like dying next turn? If that's his play again, are we dead? No, we'll be in it. We'll be alive. Let's just be efficient in our mana. See if we can do something this way. We'll play the Stormrider Spirit on his turn, and then hopefully we can both lock in the Cemetery and Silversmith. Them's is some good scratches. We can make it easier to see kitties. That's what people get the internet for, and so get the little kitties in the frame. It's sad for him. I got him a Chiefs collar a year or 2 ago. I shouldn't say I got him one. My wife got him one because I told her that's what I wanted for Christmas. And she was not happy to be purchasing a $20 cat collar, but it was really nice. And then he scratched it all up. It did not last very long, but I have to get him another one. All right, bud. All right, let's just be done with this game. This one's done. This one's done, bud. Even if he didn't hit on that Death Bonnet Sprout, we were still going to be hurting pretty hard in that game. We didn't have enough going on in the air. All right, yeah, I think that's the extent of exciting things in my life. You know, reinstalled Hearthstone. Got a chair on the way. My cat's getting good scratches. I'm gonna try and find him a new Chiefs collar. That is the life of FTP Bust. Yes. The gym this morning. Oh my god, dude. one of the trainers dressed up like the It Clown. That was fucking creepy. It's creepy enough having dude just walking around the gym in the It Clown outfit. It's especially more creepy when that dude is jacked. normally, normally the It Clown is just pretty much, it's all face, and then the body's all hidden underneath the outfit. Not today. Ugh. It's a good way to spend your morning. All right, let's turn this one around. We're trying to get up to that 4-win space, so we only lose 100 gems on the day. I mean, this deck's fine. I could see this. I would never um, look at this and say it's like a 7-win deck. If we got 7 wins with it, it seems like it's good enough to like pull it off on occasion. But I would think that this is typically a 3 to 5 winner, probably a 4 to 5 winner more often than not. Keep this. I feel like we only that previous matchup was probably reasonably bad, but kind of feel like if we got to have another go with the blue red deck, we'd probably been pretty advantaged against them. More pits. I get you them pits. The Festival Crasher. So, I mean, we're going to kind of pursue this like we did the previous one, where it's like, well, if we're going to get a unit shocked, we'd rather be a bait hook angler. I think that's fine. Neither of them are going to block a Festival Crasher, but, if he wants to play a shock here, we would rather him, and make that big tempo play, we would rather him make the tempo play into our bait hook angler. Highlighting that reservoir. You gonna start going to the top already? Looking for a land? Okay. I wonder if I was considering the block in terms of if we trade our 2 units for his card plus a spell. That's a pretty good deal. I didn't read into it as otherworldly gaze. With him taking like a half hour to read the Geistflame Reservoir, something like that sort of makes sense. Like, he did mulligan, but it's tough here to have a hand to where you're trying to just Geistflame Reservoir blind on the 3rd turn. There's just not a huge collection of 3 spells you would have in your hand that you couldn't play here, and you're like, well, fuck it, let's see if we find a land on top. But ultimately here, I think that block is just a little bit too dangerous, right? We, maybe LSV can read into it with the dude fingering the reservoir for half an hour and then doing it that way, but I think it was safe enough to just kind of let that go. Okay, I'll take this one. Sure. Attack is free. Alright, well, it's an awkward time to try and play the Suspicious Stowaway since he's got the counter on the reservoir. I mean, he's kind of running out of stuff to do, but not real excited about those prospects. Gonna block. Comes my man. Incoming Stormrider Spirit. I assume he's going to just play an Otherworldly Gaze or something and take it down, but feel much better when he just doesn't have any Festival Crashers on the board. I'm kind of leaning towards now, like, playing a Plains, the Baytuk Angler, the Suspicious Stowaway, and then when he tries to kill off our Stowaway, returning it with Geist Wave. Like, I know it's, like, super fragile, but if we can start getting the Seafaring Werewolf in and just drawing cards, game's super over. But, I mean, it's really tough to run that into a Geistflame Reservoir, though. Is he gonna be able to 3 damage our thing? Is that what's about to happen here? It's gonna get a counter. No. Okay. Well, let's give him something to throw those counters on. He's got so many spells, though. It's going to be tough to get this Stowaway going. I mean, maybe we should have just saved the Geistflame for the Whale Drifter, so that it's when these are exile when they die, right? Yeah, it's when we put into a graveyard they exile. So we could have potentially bounced it and then replayed it on the front side, just really try to grind out through this. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm still okay with this Geistwave play. And he can, on his turn, play the whatever Otherworldly Gaze and then Geistflame Reservoir back. He didn't set a stop, so if that's his play, it's not going to look nearly as good here now. He didn't get to try and fix his card draw. But I kept pulling up my deck because I'm wondering if that if we were playing the tome, like I would really like to draw that the tome thing that draws cards and taps dudes. It's not in here. I checked. Okay, it's 2 weaker units on the win. Now he's going to try and ace our Stowaway. I'm kind of curious if I even want to play the Covetous Castaway. I don't think we do. That's kind of interesting. Oh, maybe we should have put that in our hand. It's like I kind of like seeing how we're able to Homestead Courage the Stowaway now. Needs a lot of spells to take it down, but it is in our hand. Hang on. Hang on. Mathematics is hard. But yeah, I think we want to hang on to the Castaway. If we draw like a Shipwreck Sifter, we can discard it. I just feel like if we put the 1/3 version on the board, it's just not going to do anything. There's the Shipwreck Sifter. Or unblockable, right? Okay. It's a Very, very important for the moment. I'm not usually too big on putting Geist Waves back, but our deck doesn't have very many ways to interact, so I think I'm okay with it here. We have started to take over on board. Uh-oh. Are we gonna go werewolf? We go with werewolf, my man? Nope. So can we just attack with everything? I think so. You can flash back as Secrets of the Key on our Castigator, but we have the Startle. Feel really good picking up Geist Wave. Discard the Sifter. Still get a bonus to our one on board. Gonna add the Falcon Abomination. Not gonna add the Geist Wave. So we can potentially bounce something, and we should have just run away with this one. Okay. Alright. Victory. We did it. Hit that 3 wins. Here we go. The big one. The big one. The 4 win space. Cruising through this 2-loss bracket. See what we can do. This hand's kind of gross. I'm going to keep it because we're on the draw and we're going to be like cycling right here at the beginning, but things can definitely go wrong with this one. We're pretty heavily incentivized by our ground game being weak here. Kind of want the second Sifters. I just envision this world where we're able to get them going. That world is here. I really want to be like trying to go pound for pound stats against blue green. That's what blue green is good at, but I think that's where we are. Okay, then we got this big tempo draw here. We got the Locked in the Cemetery we can drop down. We can drop down the Stowaway next turn. Pretty cool if you ask me. Only got 3 cards in our graveyard, kind of sucks, but we're doing okay. I got a werewolf too, my man. He's highlighting his Gale Drifter, but I mean, why would you stop here? Is he gonna? It would have to be a bounce spell or a Bounding Wolf if he's looking to play something here. I guess he could be putting a +1/+1 counter on something. Got all kinds of things to do here, my man. All kinds. This is kind of the tempting space I was running into with the Locked in the Cemetery. Like, we can tap something, and he has like the larger zombie on board, but might be able to kind of get something out of this here. Interesting. That does not strike me as good. Maybe you'll play like a Defend the Celestus and we could get the Geist Wave. Spectral Adversary. The fuck is this thing? He's gonna phase my units out? That's the proper response anytime your opponent plays a Spectral Adversary on you. The fuck is this thing? Out here playing Mythics, bro? Is that what you're doing? Come on, come on. Alright, though. Let's see. So our attacks here are pretty decent. I guess the little sifter isn't that good, but the big sifter is. So let's go ahead and slam it. It's going to be Covened next turn, which is slightly annoying. But I think this is fine. Okay. Not Covened anymore. That's not as good as I wanted it to be. It'll be okay, though. We can just get our werewolf going. It's going to be able to do some pretty sweet things. Drawing cards every turn is a pretty sweet thing. Now I'm looking to just... I'm going to return the Shipwreck Sifter so we can hopefully just cycle something with it. He's not doing anything on the ground anymore. So far, so good. Mana short is slightly awkward, but I mean, in terms of health, we're not really hurting. Right? We're still at 20. So add the Apparition. I'm not going to block here. And hopefully with these startles, I mean, it feels like next turn's probably the turn where we're going to have to slam a bunch of stuff down. Whoa, here's a Plains. It's going to hit us with like a Sigarda. That's what usually happens to us when we see these rando third lands just show up. F you, buddy, here's Sigarda. That's annoying. We want to. I mean, I really don't want to just throw a bunch of startles onto this thing. Okay. This is dangerous. I don't want to be like trying to get him here when he's got that Hound Tamer in hand, so he can just like slam a Hound Tamer and then put a +1/+1 onto something. How much is in our graveyard? We're up to 5. Let's lock it up. And then are we okay? Like, I think we should probably start just playing cards here as well. Let the werewolf go down. We're good to just cycle a card for a turn and risk it. Well, I guess the downside to that play is that we'd have to specifically draw an island if we want to play another card this turn. But I think this is still fine. You know, start bringing that silversmith heat with the stowaway. Hound Tamer, sure. I'm gonna go big on the ground here. Biggest Sifter 2021. And do we stop here? I think so. Sure. Gonna start pounding us and oh fucking hey, Brutal Cathar. We're not gonna beat that. It's gonna be too much. That's why the Plains is here. F. Well, that's a problem. I've checked the mathematics on the problemness of that thing. It's definitely a problem. And we're still short on the land. So we can't Stormrider Spirit and Startle. It's a real pain in the dick. Alright. Gotta continue to do something though. Oh, good. Yeah, I don't think I have anything better than this, but if we're being real, this game's done. Comes in with the Hound Tamer. I'll double block with the Spirit and the Silversmith. He can only make it a 5/5. Alright, and then I'm envisioning the way... Jesus, dude, have more rares. Jesus. I'm envisioning how we can actually win this. I think it's going to involve a double Startle next turn. And then just being able to go wider than them. So, like, this feels relatively safe. Stormrider Spirit. Stormrider Spirit. Take them to 6. And then we need them to kind of like just go all in here. And we can prevent some damage with the Startles. We can get the extra zombies off of the Startles and maybe have a lethal. That's how I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it, dog. Patrician Geist, okay. Bring it. Bring the squad. I probably shouldn't have asked to bring the squad, but uh-oh. He's bringing it. He's bringing it. So how do we do this? Like, we have to block stuff. He's only going to get 1+. That's fine. Let's see what he does. He didn't do anything. He can lethal us with the Hound Tamer. Oh no, we're just lethal either way. Okay. Damn. I thought we were going to get that one. His cards just got a little bit too big on ours. We did make that one bad attack in that game, but I don't think that was going to be enough to turn it around. His removal is just way better than ours. Just a little unfortunate. I would have more than willingly sacrificed any of my shitty units to counter the Brutal Cathar in the way that he got to sacrifice a shitty unit to counter our Locked in the Cemetery on a unit that was still active and doing things. So it's not bad though. I mean, this is about where I expected this deck to land. It's a white deck that doesn't have any of the good white uncommons in it, and this is kind of where you end up. But let's get it pulled up, and we'll talk about it a little bit more. Okay, so yeah, here we go. So yeah, I mean, at this stage of where we're at up in Mythic, like when you have decks come together like this, you're never going to take it to 7 wins. Like if we were doing a bronze to Mythic run and we were playing in Silver and we had a deck like this, then sure, we'll probably 7-0 it. But taking this into Mythic, it just kind of like lacks the tools to really jump out there and do some soul crushing. Like if you take a look at those decks that we lost to 2 blue-green decks, which granted is not the best of matchups. Like it's a deck to where I'm trying to race in the air, they're trying to race with stats. We're both really shitty at interacting, and the race with stats tends to be better at that, right? Since like you're going to play this sequence where it's like, okay, I played like a 2/3 that I'm expecting to be able to block, and then I'm going to play a 2/2 flyer and a 3/3 flyer, in hopes that my 2/3 can just like shut down all your bears. Whereas their game plan is like, well, I'm going to play a 3/1 and then a 3/3 and then a 4/4, and I'm just going to slam all my dudes in. And then your 2/3 is just like, hey, this messes with our plan. But we also did, and against those blue-green decks, run into we didn't have to play against it, but it was the Sludge Belcher Patrician Geist, and then this guy having Patrician Geist, Brutal Cathar, and the likes. And so not really surprised we lost to those blue-green decks. That's a pretty bad matchup. That blue-red deck that fireballed us for 8, I still think we played that one pretty well, and I'm pretty confident he top decked that fireball. Like if we're playing Hearthstone, he totally would have emoted that. And if I was playing Hearthstone and had it in my hand already, I would have still emoted that before I played it on the last turn, like I just drew it. But nonetheless, I feel like we won the good matchups and lost the bad ones. And where this is kind of going is, whenever you're playing white, and the way I typically like to land into white is because you found the good uncommons. We just don't have any of them here. I'm speaking to the Diligent Farmhand, whatever the dude is that draws a plains. The things like Dualcraft Trainer, the 3/3 that draws cards with Ward, things like Oblivion Rings, like the really high quality white uncommons, and then you're just kind of like fillering with some of these Disturb cards and your Candlegrove Witches and the like, and just not quite where we were at. And so we had a reasonable enough Disturb deck here, but I kind of feel like when you've like assembled a Disturb deck and you're like, well, I probably don't want to play the thing that where you look at the top three cards of your deck and put some in your graveyard and it has flashback. I feel like if you're playing a Disturb deck to where you don't want that, then it probably didn't come together well, right? I think that's probably a pretty good barometer that if your deck is good enough for that thing, then it's probably pretty good because you're just very easily like shifting away a land, putting a Disturb in your graveyard, and then just like drawing a bounce spell. It's just so incredibly powerful most of the time. But yeah, nonetheless, this here was a fairly standard spirits deck. We went with the three shipwreck sifters here. Again, with the shipwreck sifters for your single card combos is if you're not playing blue white, don't play it at all. I still see shipwreck sifters in rando decks where it doesn't belong. If you can't reasonably get counters on this thing, don't be playing it. And we haven't run into that too much more recently, but people definitely like to play this in any blue deck, and it most certainly does not belong. Otherwise, Startles, I'm still going really late for whatever reason, and that's about it. There's not too much going on here. You got your cards with Disturb, you got your dudes with Flying, some really bad ways to interact and do your best. So, so let's see. Let's pull up the draft here real quick. I think this went reasonably well. I still stand by this first pick here of the Thermo Alchemist. Didn't play out here. But a lot of the red decks, if you're going to play a good red deck, it really wants to have Thermo Alchemist in it, and so I don't feel like this was a overstep. It feels much better than just taking a Malevolent Hermit as well. I mean, Malevolent Hermit will get played in literally every blue deck, but it's not like the super high-powered build-around-y style card we're really looking out of a first pick, which the Thermo Alchemist is. He's just unfortunately in one of the bad colors of the format. Pick two, I feel like this was fairly straightforward. We did take note of the Stolen Vitality, which would probably table. Pretty sure it did. And so that's kind of the likes, if we do end up in the Festival Crashers deck, which you very well may do with the Thermo Alchemist pick one. It's very important to see things like this that you can wheel, but the Castaway is where we want it to be here. I think this is the strongest Esper card in the pack. So very easy take there. Again, it's like with the Candlegrove Witches, I just can't take these early. Maybe that's a bit of a problem. I don't think it is, but I always like get down to the end of it and see like it's pick 6 and pick 7, and there's like a bunch of Candlegrove Witches running around, but we haven't touched white yet because none of the uncommons showed up. I could see an argument for it, but I still think the Castaway is much stronger. Especially, I think I mentioned it, when you get the opportunity to build your deck towards the Castaway, right? So you can look to play a bunch of Shipwreck Sifters and Mill and discard cards. To whereas if you pick this up pack 3, you may not have the tools to actually get rid of it. It's often very not good if you just like draw it on turn 6. You need a way to discard it, and so glad we got to kind of play around with that. Here, I still think Slogurk was fine. I mean, I do understand the argument for taking Revenge of the Drowned, but Slogurk, if blue-green comes together, is incredibly powerful. Even if you just ignore all of his text and call him a 3/3 for 3 mana, that's still pretty good in this format. But then even just like a single +1/+1 counter on him is pretty big. And much to the same way of Covetous Castaway, if we get to pick him early and know we're building around this, we can look more towards the self-mill theme. We can try to grab the Organ Hoarders and the Eccentric Farmers of the world. Whereas if you pick this up in pack 3, a lot of times it will just be a just be a 3/3 for 3. So another nice one to pick up here early. Again, didn't pay off, and so that was, kind of a struggle at the end of the day. We had, a reasonable enough deck, but we didn't have a deck that could take it to 7 wins. I think that's just going to kind of happen when you have starts like this, where you don't get to play 2 of your 3 first cards, and one out of the 3 isn't particularly strong. So then pick 4 Locked in the Cemeteries. That does not exude strength, but this is a very weak pack overall. Going with the Gale Drifter over the Abominations. I like it. Did we even wheel something out of this? Can you get something in pick 13? Yeah. Was that a Dissipate we got? Was that the right pack? Yeah, the Dissipate tabled. Insane. But on to the next one, Morning Patrol. Looks like we're definitely kind of in blue. If we're going to be in blue, I'd like to pick up the Disturbs over the Party Captain. Very easy. Sifters is the only playable. Not too much going on. It's a very straightforward pack 1. Would have rather had the Gaze than the Unblinking Observer at the end of the day, but if we ended up in blue-green, then we would definitely rather have the Observer. You never know, like if pack 2 rolls around and we get like a 4th pick Shadow Beast sighting and a 7th pick Shadow Beast sighting, then we definitely look like we're going to be in blue-green, and it makes these Observers very important to have. Okay. Startle's easy, does not deserve to be a 10th pick. And cards that aren't playable. I think it was fairly straightforward after that. Looking to take the Outriders over the Beggar, that's fine. Look to table the Shipwreck Sifters, which it did. Pack 2. Not much going on here. We take the Chaplain at Alms. Look to pick up one of these white cards at pick 10, or pick 10, whether it's Blessed Defiance or Candlegrove. The Blessed Defiance made it. Then onto this one. Loyal Griff is the only real playable. And then Candlegrove Witch is definitely the only playable. Fairly straightforward set of packs with these. And I don't think there was anything too interesting in pack 3. Definitely looking for the interactivity in Geistwave, that's fine. Suspicious Stowaway is extremely high valued, a bunch amongst turds. And then another fairly weak set of cards. That's kind of interesting as well. Like I talk about that on occasion as to where if you're single pod drafting, like if you're at your Friday Night Magic and you're just drafting with 7 other people, then you're all looking at kind of like the same quality of packs. To where here we don't play against the people we just drafted with, and so if the overall quality of the cards opened here were a 2 out of 5. Then if you're playing against the same pod, everybody's playing against that same 2 out of 5 quality. But as you get out there in the real world, the average quality of your draft is going to be a 3 out of 5. You got to play against those 3 out of 5s the rest of the way. It's kind of painful when these things don't go super right in the draft here. But that's all something that balances out. We'll get our 4s and our 5s out there on occasion, and so it kind of is what it is. But yeah, not a bad draft. Wish we were a little more successful, but I had a good time. That's my barometer for success, was did we have fun? I certainly did. Maybe you did as well. Let's see. Let's pick up these gems. Can't wait. Can't wait. 40 gem prize. Oh, give us a mythic. I think we looked on the last video and I only had 5 mythics left, so we should only be down to 4 now. Getting real close. Getting real close. So yeah, that is gonna do it for us today. Hope everyone enjoyed the draft. You maybe got a little bit disturbed, but then you learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.